Hello and welcome to the Squash Pod. My name is Jamie. I'm joined today with Bevan and Bentley the Beagle. We will be talking about everything squash and racket sport in Wales. We'll be promoting a fantastic sport, as well as introducing and promoting disability within the sport of squash. So ladies and gentlemen, join us and let's get this show on the road.
Okay, so it's game on, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the warm-up.
Hey Bev, thanks so much for joining us, mate. Let's get this show going. So, Bev, let's talk a little bit about why we're here and let's talk a little bit about ourselves. So, this is, as said in the...
My favourite bit, Jamie, talking about myself.
Yeah. Hey, what can I say, mate? That's what I do.
Let's
do you know
do
what I mean?
this. That's why I suggested the podcast.
Yeah, because I know how to talk.
Because people really want to listen to that, don't they?
Well, to be honest with you, mate, so normally on this part of the show, without Bev literally taking the mickey out of me, which basically is how our friendship...
He will do.
Right, yeah. So normally this would be the warm-up of the show, so this is where we would be... saying about what's coming up, what we're going to be doing. So basically on this show, on this warm-up, we're going to talk about the whole of Squash Pod. So what is it all about? So my name's Jamie. I am officially the only disabled squash player in the world with a lower body impairment. However, when it comes to squash, I'm a little bit of an idiot because I don't really know that a great deal about the sport itself because I've only started playing really by accident.
I can back you up on that.
Yeah. So come on in, Bev. Since you're chirping in, what's your background, mate? Why are you here? Why are you doing this?
I would love to tell you that I'm an ex-pro and I'm awesome. But basically,
you are awesome, mate.
Yeah, I'm an awesome human. But I am basically just a massive squash fan. I've been probably playing since I was about 12. I was a failed tennis player and a failed squash player. And I just love the game. Always have done. I love nothing more than to introduce people to the game and talking about the game. And, me and Jamie were chatting and we thought, let's get together and maybe do a podcast. Number one, we can have a bit of fun. And number two, if we can build create any awareness and raise the profile of the game in all formats in Wales, then, hey, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. Like, I started playing squash, I don't know, about 3 years ago. So I'm actually not that much of a squash player. But I started playing in a wheelchair. And one thing that I quickly learned was that there wasn't actually that much of a disability awareness within the sport. So for me, like massively open to getting disability squash out there. And I certainly know from when I played in the Welsh Masters, which we'll talk about later on in the show, I'm sure, the awareness that was brought up was phenomenal. And we both play at a local club, and I'm going to mention it as well. It's Rabina Squash Club. Rabina are massive with disability sport, disability squash in the sport at the moment, and it's really cool to see, don't you think?
Yeah. Rich Plenty's doing an outstanding job down there, isn't he?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys there sort of pitching in as well, isn't there?
Yeah, Bob. I know Richard and Bob have done. Bob Kerry. Bob Perry. They've done a lot for disability sport, and to be honest, it would be nice just to see them both recognised. But I know that Rabina have also won awards. Did you know that Rabina Squash Club was actually now a squash super club?
Yeah.
Did you know that? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
fantastic. Yeah.
I know. I was involved with that a little bit, so that was quite nice as well. So that's basically the warm up. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the show. There's going to be sections. You will hear from time to time. You'll hear Bentley the Beagle, our mascot. He'll be sniffing, barking, snorting, doing what dogs do, shaking. But he's definitely going to be a strong part of the show, don't you think?
Well, he's a hound, so he can sniff out a bad podcast a mile away.
Oh, mate.
Hey.
All right. So
Boom.
on that note alone, let's get on to the next section.
Okay, so up or down to serve?
So the next section is the serve, which is we're going to spice this up each time. This week, we're going to do some squash interesting facts. Now, some of you may know the answer to this. I'm not so sure you're going to know them, Bobette.
Well, that's because you told me what you were going to do.
Yeah.
But I purposely told you, just to do it straight off the bat.
Straight off the racket.
It's like,
straight off the racket.
It's like Squash Mastermind, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, right. First question.
What happens if I get them all wrong?
Well.
Like literally everything. Does the podcast fail?
Yeah.
I mean, it pretty much failed anyway.
Yeah, the whole of the squash society will fall apart if you don't know the answers to these questions.
Oh God. Okay.
I reckon the people listening. I gotta stop saying viewers. That's because I do YouTubes. I reckon that the listeners will actually know some of these questions, and I think you won't.
Well, I'm pretty much banking on it.
Cool. I'm folding my sheet of paper away from you.
Okay.
Okay. So, squash has been around since what year?
Wow. Okay. So we're going full on factual, are we?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd say it was sometime after real tennis was around.
Ooh,
So
mate, what a
maybe-
sport to mention. We'll talk about real tennis quickly before you answer this question.
So in the age where wooden rackets were twice the length and you played effectively squash in a massive tennis court by the look of it.
I know, yeah. I was
Which
watching
looked
this, right?
horrendous.
Guys, look at this up. Okay, there's actually a video. It's on YouTube, I believe, yeah?
Yeah.
There's a video on YouTube. Type in real tennis. So basically, it's a mix between tennis and squash, where you get an open court, but it's basically it's all closed in, isn't it? And then the net just goes across the middle.
Yeah.
And they can like volley the ball over the net, off walls, off the back wall.
So you're like constantly boasting.
Yeah. So basically, it's tennis with a boast.
Yeah.
Right. It's really cool, but they still play it now. I mean, I think there's only like one real tennis court in the world,
Yeah.
probably. Oh, Bentley the Beagle, he's had a bit of a shake.
Shaky.
So yeah, I think there's not many real tennis players around. But anyway.
So, but in answer to your question,
Yeah, go for it.
when?
Yeah, when?
Probably say, I'm gonna say 30s.
30s.
1930s.
1930s. So
Am I way off?
Mate, yeah, you literally
That's
you're 100 years
That's
away.
how my granddad was like around. So I'm assuming way before that. So
I'll tell you what,
1700s.
I'll give you a clue.
1730s.
I'm going to give you a clue. Okay. So your original
I'm
question.
just saying numbers, you know.
Yeah, I know you are. Yeah. I'm getting this.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take you to the next question, which I think will help you on the first question. Okay. Where is the lowest squash court in the world?
Hang on a minute. What's happened to the other question?
I'll come back to that in a second. So where is the lowest squash court in the world?
The lowest squash court.
It's a bit of a trick question, this one. I feel a bit guilty actually asking you this, but go for it.
Hitler's bunker.
No, but I've got a really interesting fact about that actually. I'll come on to that in a second. Right, I'm going to tell you the answer. So the lowest... Seriously, yeah.
Was important. That's not scripted. Like I don't.
No, seriously, right?
You've got a fact about Hitler's bunker.
Not Hitler's bunker exactly, but did you know that a squash court at the University of Chicago provided the first venue for the first ever controlled self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction?
Right. Okay. More information.
You need me to elaborate on this? Right. Okay. So I can't pronounce this guy's name. It's Enrico Fermi. Fermi. Enrico Fermi.
Firmino.
Oh, we'll go with that. And his colleagues secretly engineered in a Chicago Pile Number 1 court. All right, the world's first nuclear reactor in 1942. So the reactor was built as part of the Manhattan Project to construct the first atomic weapon.
Before the atomic bomb.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that happened in 1940, right? Now, I'm going to go back. When do you think
Wow.
the squash first was first played?
It's got to be, like you said, it's got to be a few hundred years.
Yeah, all right.
Before that.
You're not gonna get it, and I
Well,
win.
yeah, I think you knew that. You're just playing with me.
I am. Yeah, I'm just toying with you.
Like you
So
can't on the squash court.
yeah.
Hey!
Whoosh! Right. So squash was first invented in 1830.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and it was invented by who? Come on, you know this answer.
isn't it weird when you just played something all your life and you love something, but
Yeah.
you're not a trivia fan, like you don't
No.
look up,
I do.
but you do, yeah. Right, okay.
But that's because like I'm a
Um,
squash idiot.
right.
So I find this stuff
you've had to
interesting.
teach yourself, and now you immediately already know more than me.
I do,
which
yeah.
is great. It's a bit embarrassing. So, who invented it?
Yeah. Well, where was the first people? Where was it played first?
Well, probably somewhere in England, la-di-da. Probably somewhere like Eton, Harrow, or something like that. I'm going to say Eton.
Okay, so it was actually first played in Harrow. So I think, mate, we may have had a bit of a knock on the mic, thanks to Bentley the Beagle. So excusing that. But yeah, so it was first played in Harrow. But did you know that squash was actually played in Fleet Prison?
Fleet Prison?
Yeah, by the
No way.
prisoners. Yeah, they used to just knock the ball up against the wall. And basically, that was actually where it first started. And then Harrow kind of turned it into a sport.
Okay, is Fleet London as well, or where's Fleet?
Oh, crikey.
No.
I don't know, actually. Maybe the listeners can tell us
Yeah.
where Fleet is, because I got them. I'm not 100% sure. So the next question that I ask you is, where is the lowest squash court in the world?
The lowest, I thought it was Chicago, no?
No. So the lowest squash court at the moment, like I said, it's a bit of a trick question. The lowest squash court in the world is actually on the Titanic. There was a squash court on the Titanic, and at the time...
Is that when it set off, or...?
Well, man, I don't think they put it on there halfway through. Like,
When did it measure it?
stop the ship. We've got Fred Wright on board. We need squash court.
And Fred's asking us some random question about what's the lowest
Squash,
court in the world.
But did you know that the professional Fred Wright was actually on the Titanic and went down with the ship?
No way.
Yeah. He was actually killed, or he actually died as one of the passengers of the Titanic.
Cheery.
I know, mate. So we're going to boost this back up.
What, people's morale?
Yeah. So don't go on the ship if you play squash, and if it's got a squash court on it, really don't bother. Okay, so do you know how many people worldwide play squash?
So yeah, I mean,
You said an interesting fact to me. How many people in the United Kingdom play squash?
I do know in England it's around about 400,000 or 500,000.
So 400,000 or 500,000, right? Okay, so 1.2 million players in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
How many do you reckon? 500,000 in the UK. Squash is played in 180 different countries. So how many? 185, I think it is. So how many players worldwide do you think there are?
It's millions, but how many millions?
Right. So it's 25 million. So there's 25 million squash players worldwide.
25.
25
That's
million.
a lot less than I would have thought. So going back to your query about, well, not query, but you said in how many countries?
185.
185. So there's about 195 countries in the world,
Yeah.
I think. Or,
Oh gosh, I don't know actually.
I think there's 193 countries.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of them that aren't part of the
World.
The world. Yeah. Yeah.
They're just hanging around.
Hey.
The moon
Yeah.
being one of them.
Yeah. We'll speak to the research team about that.
Yeah. We are the research team.
Okay, don't give the game away. Right.
So, and 25 million people play squash, and this is the interesting fact, ladies and gentlemen. This is where I bring everything right back to me. I am the only registered player with a lower body impairment in the world. So 25 million people play this sport, and I'm the only one that plays with a low body impairment. Boom.
Well done, mate.
What can I say?
Yeah.
Well, I'm registered, but what I
Okay.
would like to see are more people. So if people do listen to this show and you play squash with a low body impairment, whether it be, like for me, I got CRPS, so I've got I had neurological paralysis, and I played. So if you're listening and you play squash with a lower body impairment, we would like to hear about it, because I don't want to be the only player playing the sport.
No. So you must be pretty good.
No. What I do very well is smile. I do that a lot. And do you know what? If I have a thing, right? Whenever I played in the Welsh Open recently in December last year, and literally I just smiled every time I won a court. And my goal was to get 1 point per game.
Yeah.
I actually scored the lowest points I scored was actually this guy from Czech, right? He was massive. I can't remember his name, but it was a lovely guy, right? He was just huge. The last time I seen shoulder blades like this guy was on Jurassic Park. The guy, honestly, mate, right? He was just phenomenal. So he'd hit the ball, and the ball, as it left his racket, just kind of just went wah as it hit the wall. The ball was feeling the pain. So by the time he hit the ball, I didn't even see where it went.
Unbelievable.
I scored 3 points per game with him. I was pretty impressed with that. I came on score. I was like, well, I scored my one. That's all that mattered.
That's amazing. Yeah. So if you're a disabled player playing in Wales, please.
Yeah, man. Let us know.
Get in contact with us.
I want to hear all about it. So this takes me on to another really cool fact, right? So do you know why squash is actually called squash?
Well, if you Google squash, this is another reason.
It comes
why
up as a vegetable.
It's a vegetable, and
no, they didn't play with vegetables, mate.
Apparently, there's a very famous DJ called DJ Squash.
No, really.
Who I wanted to steal his theme music to for the podcast, but for copyright issues we can't do that.
But now that we've punted him, maybe he might let us.
Yeah. So
we will email you, DJ Squash.
So
we want your music.
I'm a bit gutted they called it squash because it doesn't really. It's got to be to do with the ball, isn't it? When you hit it.
So when you hit the ball, as it hits the wall, it squashes.
Yeah.
Now squash balls originally were made out of rubber. All right, just normal rubber. But now they're actually made out of I can't pronounce the word of it, so maybe you can help me. But it's butyl. Is it raw butyl rubber?
Butyl
rubber. We're going to go with that?
I said that. One thing my mum always taught me is even if you don't know the answer, say it with confidence.
Wing it.
Yeah. Butyl sounds good.
So we're going to go with butyl. Now, because of the type of rubber they use, it means that they can change the density of the rubber in order to create a different action from the ball. So when the ball, so for example, you've got orange, double yellow, single yellow, green, red, and blue, and they all have different purposes.
Yep.
Right. Now I didn't know this, being the squash idiot. Okay. So at the moment we play squash with a double yellow. So that is the standard professional ball that they use. Mm-hmm. All right. But that only actually started being used in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, it used to be used as single yellow.
Yep.
Did you know that?
I
you knew that, didn't you?
No.
Yes, I got another one over on you.
Listen, like your average club player will just use a double yellow because that's what the professionals.
Because everyone else does.
Because everyone who trains in any sport, they just want to do what
the pros do.
Do what the pros do. Train like the pros do and use the kit the pros do.
It's funny you say that,
Something
right?
so basic like this, people don't even know about.
But it's funny you say that. So the other week, I was being coached. Now I get coached by a fantastic guy called Richard Plenty, and the courts were really, really cold.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, right, we'll play with a single yellow dot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I didn't know why, because I'm the squash idiot. But the yellow dot has a slower bounce and also bounces for longer. So it's got like a longer hang time, they call it, which meant on a colder court, it's actually better. I didn't know that.
You got it. Yeah.
I mean, absolutely awesome.
I mean, another example. This is really basic stuff for any of you club players listening. We really apologise.
But it's important because, like, for someone like myself, who's new to the sport,
exactly,
this is the type of stuff that you want to hear about.
So people like my wife, she's learning to play now. She's loving it. She probably should be playing with a red or a blue. But
so blues for juniors and new players. So juniors and new players. Yeah.
It's faster and the hang time is very, very high. And any new player should really be playing with blue or red.
Well, when I started
people
playing,
just
I
go
played with blue.
Yeah, people jump the gun. They want the best kit. They want the ball that everyone else uses. So it's going to make their learner journey, if you like, that much more enjoyable.
It's funny actually because one of the
Bentley.
guys, so Bentley the dog, is currently chewing on something. But anyway, that's what dogs do. And
It's a bunny rabbit. He shouldn't be eating. It's
not a real bunny rabbit.
It's a training.
Bugs
right?
Bunny, just chewing on Bugs Bunny. So so going back onto this now, there's a fantastic guy that I follow, and I think you follow him as well. Jethro Binns. Runs the Squash Skills.
Yeah.
Does he actually do any of his Squash Skills? Does he actually do something on balls themselves?
He may well do. I haven't seen that particular video, but his videos are fantastic.
Yeah.
They're absolutely brilliant. Anyone wanting to learn about any specific weakness in their game, spot on, get on it.
Yeah. Because it's not only I don't know what Bentley's doing, mate, but he's just like
he's
sniffing around the place.
He's eating an elephant.
Only on the Squash Pod does Bentley, the mascot, eat things. Right.
Did you know it's feng shui for an elephant to face outside of the property? So if it's facing the other way, that's bad news.
No.
So I think he's just knocked it round the wrong way. So we're
doomed. Our podcast is doomed.
Yeah.
So straight back on to Jethro. Now, like, I've seen Jethro play as well. I mean, he's an incredible player. Like, did he ever go pro? Did he ever play pro?
I'm not sure, mate.
No?
I'm not sure.
I'd be interested in finding that out. But he's definitely high-level coach as well, though, isn't he? I mean, he's coached some really remarkable players. So, is it... Who coaches Peter Creed?
Peter Creed? I'm not sure. I would have to look into that.
Yeah, because I know Jethro...
I'm surprised it was David Evans or something like that.
Yeah.
The new performance coach for Squash Wales now.
Performance
director. He's just been appointed, I think. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, so
sure.
I want to get Jethro on the show one day. I want to have a chat with him and promote his...
Boom, make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Yeah.
I think so. Jethro, if you're listening to the podcast, we want you on the show. We want to do a promotion show with you, and we just want to hear all about Squash Skills. So Squash Skills. So was it www.squashskills.co.uk, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Fab. I also know he's got a Facebook page as well, which I was having a look at the other day, because I just find that kind of stuff really interesting. Someone from myself, from my point of view, and I am openly the squash idiot, right? So I just find that stuff really, really cool and really, really interesting. So, yeah, that's basically, mate, that's my super facts for the day. That's me done.
I would honestly give that a strong 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Fantastic.
Oh, it's unbelievable, people. The rally is on.
That's right, mate. It's a rally, and this is all about you, Bev. So this section, we're going to talk literally just about facts, what's coming up. This is actually going to be like, proper. This is the news.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, mate. Yeah, it's like the news. So every time we do our little cast, if you like, we'll share some of the stuff that you squash players in all formats have got to look forward to.
Yeah.
So here's a little cheeky little roundup of what's coming up.
Awesome.
Part of, obviously, we know that the reason of this podcast is to raise awareness and share all the amazing stuff that's happening out there in Wales at the moment. We're just massively blessed at the moment with some of the players we've got and how well they're doing on tours.
I got to admit, I don't know that many Welsh players. So I know that we've got a couple at our local club that play for us. So who are they first?
We've
mate?
obviously got the absolute legend of Peter Creed.
Yeah, and he's a nice guy as well, Peter.
Numerous
Actually,
Welsh titles. He's currently still performing fantastically on tour. I think he's currently ranked 55
in the world
on the tour,
wow.
on the PSA tour, and he's still fantastically on form. He's ranked number 1 for the Robina National, which the Robina have managed to attract again for a second year now, I believe. So, he's still doing fantastic. You've got the young and upcoming Emma Evans, the younger brother of Tesney, and we all know about Tesney, and since she won the British Open, how fantastic she's been for the sport and for the development of the sport. We want to get all of these guys on the show.
I think also development for Welsh women's sport.
Yeah.
In squash.
Yeah.
Because I think, I know from my own point of view, I think the two areas of any sport really that seems to get sort of misled is women's sport, disability sport. They seem to be like almost like, they're there but not really there. And I think when you say the name Tesney Evans, people know Tesney Evans as a squash player. And I just think that's incredible.
It is incredible. Yeah, it is. I went to an interview about 6 months ago, and they were asking me about my interests, and I brought up squash, and I mentioned Tesney in my interview. Bit random, I know. Yeah. But they knew her. They knew her, and that's incredible. Just because of the success that she had, winning the British Open and doing so well in the Commonwealth as well. So she's still doing well. I think she's currently in the semi-final of the Clevedon Open at the moment. Wow. Doing really, really well as well. Good luck to her in the final. So, we've got loads of other great players in Wales as well. We've got Joel Macon, who's absolutely tearing it up. He's had a little bit of bad luck recently, but he's currently at 29 in the world, absolutely smashing it. So, we need to share this, success as much as possible and give these guys a forum to really encourage other people to excel.
I'll tell you someone I do want to speak about, mate, just ever so slightly, because I think he's understated, is James Peach.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen James play several games, several matches, and you know what, I truly believe he's understated, to the point where I didn't actually realise he was in that sort of ranking. So I didn't know, for a start, I didn't know because he's part of the Wizards as well, isn't he?
Yeah, and absolutely.
And I didn't know that. I just thought he was a club player that was really good. Yeah. But he's not. He's actually phenomenal, and he's actually doing incredibly well. But he's just so, what's the word? Humble?
Yeah.
When he plays, he just comes on court, does what he's got to do.
He plays so calm as well. He's a lefty as well. He's got lovely style about him. He looks unflappable. I think he had a really, really good future.
Yeah, unflappable is definitely... I don't even know if that is a word, but if it is, James Peach should have a little picture next to it. Because literally, I think that once I seen him grit his teeth. Once in a sport, and that was because he tinned it. And when you kind of go, ugh, in between your teeth. I've seen him do it once.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we tin it all the time as club players because he got the tin higher. So,
yeah, we're going to go with that.
That's my excuse.
I think that, when I play, the tin may as well be to the ceiling because I just constantly...
Seems like about a metre high.
Yeah. And it's, like when you're a kid and you go to Disneyland and everything just seems massive. That's how I feel every time I go on court.
Yeah. Absolutely, mate. Yeah. So, raising awareness, that's what we want to do, and we just want to have fun along the way. But, we've got loads of stuff for squash fans at, club level to look forward to, as well as at elite level coming up over the next sort of month or so. We've got tickets now available for the South Glam Open, which I think is on the 16th, 17th of Feb.
Do you know where that's been hosted?
I want to say the National Sports Centre, but I'm not 100%.
Okay.
But people.
We'll put it in the in the notes in the description below.
But any interested people want to get in touch with Byron Lloyd Lewis. Obviously, we've also got the Robina event, which the national event, which is coming again for the second time on the 7th to the 11th of May.
That's literally the day before my birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so if you want to buy me a birthday present...
I'm busy, mate, it's fine.
No, you weren't going to take me, but if you want to buy me a birthday present, I think tickets...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would go down really, really well. I mean, I'm not one to kind of, hint.
Ask, aren't you?
Yeah, no, not at all, mate. I just come straight out with it. That's what I want for my birthday.
We'll have a chat again after the birthday about how they were definitely in the post.
Yeah.
So, tickets available there through Ticket Source. I think the initial sort of... set of tickets that were available for clubs, I think they've gone now.
Really?
So it's general sale only now, so jump on that. And then, just generally really looking forward to that tournament. You've got Peter Creed, who's ranked 1, and quite rightly. Still playing fantastic. But you've got George Parker, Richie Fallows, and Emir as well. And lots of other great players there who are coming to...
Where's Emma Evans ranked at the moment?
134.
So he's like...
On the PSA Tour.
He's seriously coming up through the ranks, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't know how old he is, but he's...
Should we ask him next time we see him?
Yeah.
Go like, yo, Emma.
How old are you, son?
Yo, bro, how old are you?
Yeah.
He'll probably just look at you like you're an idiot.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Your questions are the worst.
yeah. Now talk to me about squash.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I think we should get Emma on the show. I sat down and had a curry after a game with him once.
After 8 minutes.
Yeah, after 8 minutes. yeah. My biggest dream was having after 8 minutes with Emma Evans. No, I remember once I watched him play at Rabina. He'd played Peter Creed, and then the team like go after and they have meals and a couple of drinks afterwards. And I was fortunate enough to be on the same tables. And he's a really nice guy. Like off court, he's a really nice guy. Yeah. On court, he's very, very dedicated to his sport. Yeah. But off court, he's actually really, really cool lad. But he's only young, and I think that you've just got to remember that. Like, how old's Peter now? He's got to be 30.
I think he's 30. Sorry if you're younger, Pete.
Yeah. Because we're hoping to get Pete on the show. So I reckon he's what, 25? We'll go with 20.
Yeah, totally.
But I think he might be actually old enough to play in the Masters soon.
I'm 42. I'm playing my best squash. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm not 40 yet. I'm getting there very, very slowly though. I'm trying to slow it down, but it's not happening. So yeah, we've got some really cool players up and coming, and some really cool events coming up as well. And I think that kind of ties this section up, but I really would love to I think at a later show maybe we should talk about how these events go. So we've got the one in May. Mm-hmm. We've got a couple coming up now in February though, haven't we?
Yeah. So the South Glam.
So the South Glam.
Yeah.
Can anybody enter that?
Yeah, you've got 4 grades of player, if you like, A to D.
Right.
So depending on what your level is, which we'll talk about again another time, it's a great way of people understanding their level versus everyone else in the world.
Yeah.
It's almost like a handicap for, like you have in golf. Yeah?
I'm the handicap, mate. I am my own handicap.
Okay, yeah. Very NPC. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we'll explain that to beginners, how the squash level system works, so they can understand how they can improve and how that works it runs on a statistical basis, which we'll run into, almost like an algorithm.
Yeah.
We'll have a look at that as well.
So going on to handicap squash, I played in the handicap tournament in Rabina.
Yeah.
Recently.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to say I didn't come last, which
Good.
I was quite shocked by.
Yeah.
But only because a couple of people pulled out. But hey, I mean, do you know what I mean?
Buy's a buy, yeah?
A buy is a buy, yeah, absolutely.
Bye-bye.
And when you're in my world, it's bye-bye. Yeah. But yeah, so I got to the the semi-finals of the plate. I played a great guy. I won't mention his name, but because I'm about to say that he's one of the older players of the game.
Yeah.
And he absolutely annihilated me. Like literally. But he came up with a really nice compliment afterwards, because he said to me, because he just played the ball back and forth the court, and obviously I've got lack of mobility, so he's like hitting the ball from one side of the court then to the other, and I honestly, man, I couldn't get there. I was just like, and I was getting frustrated myself, and which I shouldn't really have done. I mean, here I am, I'm in the semi-finals of the play, and you know, I think I've done all right.
Yeah.
But he said to me afterwards, he went, sorry for playing you so hard, mate. He said, but if I gave you any of the easier shots, I haven't got the skill to beat you, and you would have beat me. I was like, oh, mate. That's lush.
Compliment.
Yeah. So this Glam Open it's kind of different to how the Welsh Masters, because with the Welsh Masters, it's in age groups.
Yeah, you'll I think you become a master when I think it's age 35 and over.
Yeah.
But we can talk about masters again in detail on another podcast.
Awesome.
Sure.
So that is the rally over. So that's where we rally comments between ourselves. And let's finish that up with wishing everybody good luck. I think we need to wish Tesney the greatest of luck.
Good luck in Cleveland, yeah.
And we'll catch you guys up on the next show on how these guys get on with their upcoming tournaments.
Out of court.
Okay, so this next section of the podcast is actually going to be, we called it Out of Court purely because we're going to talk about things that are happening outside of Wales. So not necessarily off court, but outside of Wales as a whole. Now, what I want to talk about today, Bev, is actually Slovenia and the European Masters.
Cool, do it.
Because, as you know, it's all about me, right? This podcast, actually, I don't even know why Bev is here. This podcast is literally just all about me. No, European Masters plays. There's a different European Masters every month, right? In different places in the world. So Bordeaux, there's French, there's some in France, but this particular one is in Slovenia, and I'm not going to pronounce the town unless you can. Ljubljana or whatever I can't pronounce it, right? But I'm playing. I'm actually going to Slovenia, and I'm playing in the European Masters, which.
So how are you rated for this Masters, and what categories are there?
Well, so the Masters tournaments works out. You've got because you won't know about this because obviously you're being too young, yeah.
Yeah.
Peter won't know, definitely Peter no. Well, actually, I just thought about something as well, yeah. So we were talking before we go into this. I got a bone to pick with you. So where's Tesney Evans playing at the moment?
Oh, you picked up on that.
I did pick up on that.
Smart ass,
I know, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I said Clevedon.
And where's she playing?
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only reason I actually picked that up is, like the people that lives in Clevedon, and then the people that live in Cleveland.
Yeah.
They're different people.
You got hundreds of people turning up in.
Yeah. Cleveland
Bristol?
Yeah.
Bristol?
Yeah. Going. Yeah. Where's Tesney Evans?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's 500,000 people in England, and they all they're just going to Bristol now, just going.
Anyway, yeah, we don't support England squash anyway, so it's fine.
No, we do. Right. So, the Masters. So how the Masters works? Okay, so you get different age groups. So you got plus 35s, then you got 40s, 45s, 50s, 55s, and 60s.
So anyone who is not able-bodied, can enter those age groups.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
So when I played in the Welsh Masters, which was in December, I played. I can't remember his name. Peter. It's either Peter Bayless or Peter Ballas.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Ballas.
Yeah, I know him.
Literally, right, loveliest guy ever, right? And if he's listening today, I just want to say hello, because honestly, man, the guy was a legend. I played some great players, but he won the tournament, and it was really funny because before he went on court, he'd had a few the night before, I think, right? So he chips up and he's just like, "Aye, mate, you're right." And I'm like, "I've got this."
Normally a schoolboy error.
Yeah. And I'm like,
he'd done a bit of research.
Yeah, he'd looked at my game and thought, I can get tanked up now, and it's not going to matter. No, but yeah, he turned out. I lied. He slept in, right, because he thought that he was on court until 10 o'clock, but actually he was on court at like 9 o'clock with me.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm there like, right, and there's no Peter. But he came on court and he was like, "Should we just have a good game?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, looking forward to this." Honestly, he's a legend in his absolute own right. But I didn't stand a chance, mate.
It's rude.
It's brutal.
It's rude.
But yet I was really looked after, like, by all the people I played. So everyone who came on court, they all gave me a game. They didn't just come on. Any one of the guys I played in the Welsh Masters could have 11-0'd me easily. I mean, the Czech player I mentioned earlier on in the show, literally, right, his serve alone would have just annihilated me.
Was damaging.
Yeah. Because I mean, I can't put it into words. I reckon that the ball didn't just squash when it hit the wall. I think it completely missed shape and just flattened, and then it flattened on the sidewall as well.
What ball do they play with in
the Masters?
In the Masters,
normal 2-dot ball.
A 2-dot, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So effectively, it's exactly the same as professional squash. So all the same rules. You get some of the refs that ref the games are professional refs that ref some of them are now reffing the home game now with the Wizards, which I believe, it's the 4th of February, 5th of February we're recording this, although it's going to be a couple of days before it goes out, and obviously, as you know, Welsh Wizards are home tonight, so and there'll be, so the rules that they play will be the exact same rules that you play in the Masters.
Ah, that's interesting, mate. Yeah.
So I was I am literally the first ever registered, I'm going to use that term because I think it's a better term to use, registered disabled player with a lower body impairment. I know that I can't think of her name now, but there's a girl that plays with one arm, and she's got like a special adaptation where she puts like a little cup on her arm. She puts the ball in the cup and then serves. So she, like, instead of throwing it as you or I would, she serves it from this little cup that sits on like a little watch strap. So I know that she plays, but there's no one registered that plays with low body impairment at the moment. And I think I'm actually ranked now, because I played people like Peter. I'm actually ranked like 3,000 and something in the world.
Is that on squash levels? Do you have a ranking on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your level?
Okay, hang on. Explain what you mean before I jump into my answer.
So when in any format in England, in the UK, if you play in a club and you play a competitive fixture, whether it's a club game or a box game, maybe not quite so much box games, but it depends on if the club captain or whoever's organising the leagues registers those results onto the Squash Levels site, then every game you play, every point you win against an opponent who's also on there will give you points. So you'll have a level.
Okay.
So any game you've played at a competitive level, I don't know the answer whether this disabled squash also follows the same squash levels.
It does, because there's actually no rules. The rules that you play, I play able-bodied squash.
Oh, well, there you go then. Right, okay.
Yeah. So my I know my ranking is something like 3,700.
Your squash level's 3,000?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Is it?
Let me look this up, see if it's on the squash levels.
Right, so while you're Googling away at that, so I'm playing now in Slovenia. I'm going out with a group of guys from my local club, all right, which is Rabina Squash Club. And my coach, Richard Plenty, who's been a phenomenal... what's this? So
what's your surname, buddy?
McCansh.
McCansh?
Yeah, MCANSH.
ANSH.
There I am, mate.
There he is, yeah.
Level 3071.
3071. That level, within the format you play, is versus the players you're playing. So, for example, your last game was against Radomir Ungur.
Yeah, from Czech.
Czech, yeah.
Now, Radomir, if you are listening to this, because we are actually friends on Facebook, all right, you have got to be one of the biggest people I've ever met. Just saying. Right? So, yeah, so I played Radomir.
So you lost to him 3-0.
3-0. But I lost to everybody.
You lost all your games 3-0. Okay, well, yeah.
But for me, it was all about the points, right? So I didn't really worry about the final score, because I knew when I went into the Welsh Masters, I knew I wasn't going to... Peter Bilson, that's the one. I knew when I was going into the Masters, I wasn't going to win anything, right? So my goal was to score a certain amount of points per game, and the aim was 3 points per game.
But this system, the squash level system, has got him ranked significantly higher, so it expected you to beat him. It's saying here that you are nearly... so he's ranked 2159, you're ranked 3233. So technically you're over 1,000 points better than him. So what it's saying is, I don't know the maths.
I think there might be flaws in the system.
There may be flaws with this particular system that we need to have a little chat about.
Yeah.
We need to work this out because, technically you should have smashed him.
Mate, the only thing smashing was me running
Yeah.
into him, which, by the way, I did once and stopped dead.
Yeah. The only thing you smashed was your morale, I think.
yeah. And my ego. That went off
Anyway,
court.
yeah, we got to do some work on that.
Yeah, so I'd like to do a podcast just purely, I think, somewhere in the show, I think we should do a podcast about levels. What do you think?
All over that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was basically where it was. So I think so. So now taking what I've earned from the Welsh Masters, I'm now taking into the European Masters in Slovenia in April.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. I mean, I'm doing as much as I can really to promote disability sport in Wales, but also what I'd really like to see is other clubs, and we've got quite a few just in this area. So we're based in Cardiff, right, in South Wales, and we've got, there's got to be 8 squash clubs.
Well, there's been so many closures of clubs within the South Wales area, and a lot of the clubs have now migrated into, I guess, super clubs, if you like, although that's not why Robina was called a super club. It's just that a lot of the members have gone to those bigger clubs because a lot of clubs have closed down. So, it's interesting what these clubs need to do to attract disabled players.
And I think that's where the fear comes in, because like when I first started playing squash, I was playing in a wheelchair. So I've literally progressed as I've gone through physio and everything else. So when I first started, can you remember when you first see me playing squash in a wheelchair? Can you remember those days?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started there with a guy called Steve, and we were like literally the only 2 players. But fortunately for me, with my condition, even though it's a degenerative condition, and literally I could wake up tomorrow with the same neurological paralysis that I had 5 years ago, but at the moment I'm really sort of kind of bringing up a sport that I just think needs more disabled and disability publicity, and that's so I had a great story after doing the Masters. I had a great story right up in the World Squash Federation, which if I can find the link, I'll put it in the description. But the guy who wrote it, which is a guy called Andrew Shelby, who does editorials for the World Squash Federation, he was like all over the story. So that was great advertisement for squash, for Robina Squash, for Disability Sport Wales, as well as for me as a disabled squash player. So it was really cool. So hopefully that similar sort of stuff will happen now with the European.
There's going to be a lot of people out there who'd love to hear your story, mate. So
yeah, well they can on a couple of my other shows. Great point to punt that there. So if you type in See No Bounds into any of the podcast formats, you will find me.
Tick.
Tick. Mate, there's no point being famous without being famous, my friend.
That's literally the only thing on the agenda for him.
Yeah.
He just got it in.
That's it. I wrote it down on my little piece of paper. Must punt See No Bounds at least once.
Highlighted in pink.
Pink's my favourite colour. Yeah. So that is everything now for Out of Court.
Match ball.
So yeah, that's it. The final little section of today's podcast, which, as stated, is match ball. So this is kind of where we're going to summarise the show. So as we do other shows, this is kind of where we're going to summarise everything. But today, I think, as it's our pilot show, I think we're just going to take this opportunity just to thank anyone who's listening in. Thank you so much. The other part of match ball is we're going to actually have a section where we can answer questions as well. So if any of our listeners are listening in, Bev, and they have a question for us, or whether they contact yourself or me directly, I think this would be a really good part of the show where we can kind of answer questions and
totally.
hang out with the crowds, mate.
Yeah.
Get down with the kids. So you can, with all seriously, you can find me on Facebook at Jamie See No Bounds, Twitter at See No Bounds. And what about yourself, Bev?
You can find me on Facebook, although I'm not a big avid Facebook fan.
Hook us up, because he's useless.
Yeah, I'm not really an internet man, if I'm honest with you. Yeah,
you're too busy on call.
Quite old school. Yeah.
Pen and paper. So if you've got a pigeon and some smoke, send some signals over to Bev. But other than that, I tell you what, hook us up. We are going to get a Facebook page together called The Squash Pod, where there'll be photos of Bentley, the dog, the mascot.
Give them a reason to go to the site.
Just pictures of Bentley, basically, because he ain't going to want to see us. I mean, well,
they can get that on Beagles of Instagram.
Which Bentley's on. But Bentley's gone to sleep.
Yeah.
Bentley's had enough of the Squash Pod.
Well, he had a nice dinner, didn't he, mate?
Yeah. So he's all squash podded out. He's like, I'm done with squash. So we're really keen to get the story out there. So if you're listening to this, share it, get it out there. We want to get more clubs involved. We want to talk to clubs. We don't even mind travelling. I wouldn't mind doing some shows. Actually, I wouldn't mind doing some shows on the road as well, mate. I reckon we should take this on a tour.
If anyone wants us to come and see them, let us know. We want to speak to anyone who wants to promote the sport and support the sport. We're keen to speak to everyone, aren't we?
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Jethro, look out, son, because I'm coming for you. I really want to have a little interview with you. I think you're awesome. So that's definitely one. I tell you, another guy is Mike Workman, massively involved with Welsh squash.
Yeah. And don't forget Peter Creed, the man, the legend.
Peter Creed.
Yeah.
So we've already had some fantastic support from this, actually, the show, during the sort of the promotion bit, and I had a phone call saying that we should do a section about amazing personalities in squash. And I think we should get that involved somewhere as well. So I think Bob has to be one of them.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll see if I can get an interview with Bob. I think that's going to be awesome. So look out for that as well. But yeah, so if you guys have got a really cool, an inspiration, who's inspired you? That's what I want to hear about. I want to hear about the people in squash that have inspired you and have driven you, and let us know. And maybe we can hook up and grab an interview with them.
We also want, we want the everyday person to be involved with this.
Yeah, definitely.
This isn't for the elite, okay? This isn't, just your Peter Creeds and your Tesneys, yeah? This is for even for your club players, your people, your ladies, your disabled players. It's or your racquetball players, anyone who loves the game like us. Get in touch, share your stories. We want to get everyone involved.
Absolutely. So that is everything from the first ever Squash Pod pilot. I've had an absolute ball.
It's been fun.
Yeah,
it's been a lot
good.
of fun, mate. Yeah.
And even Bentley, the dog, has got involved with its chewing an elephant and one thing or another. But we want to thank you all for listening. It's been absolutely great. In the description below, we'll have my contact details. So if you want to contact us, ask us any questions. And look out on Facebook for the Squash Pod Facebook page, which I will get up and running as soon as I physically can.
Beautiful, and enjoy your squash, peeps.
Enjoy your squash, and thank you very much for listening. And your racquetball.
And your
disability squash. Basically anything squash or racquetball.
Yeah, enjoy it all.
Enjoy it all. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and until next time. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed Squash Pod, and please join us next time. Thank you very much.